This is Wednesday, April 28th. There are 71 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2015. Welcome to the SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
BANUHTEE go. God, I love the girl and the I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple, it looks green. I love all the posts I made and a million comments that they rate. I love the internet and I love the world.
Hello, I'm your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast is my usual partner in crime, Carrie Dixon. Hello, Carrie.
Hey, James, and everybody listening.
And also welcome this week, Kim Twomley, the online orator of Offsite, otherwise known as Outside Comic-Con.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me this week.
Well, of course, because we're talking about offsite, so who else are we going to talk to?
Right? I tried to Stan Lee that introduction there.
I liked it.
Okay, so the SDConCast is brought to you by 3D Light FX, the makers of the innovative cordless 3D deco lights. Find the perfect Marvel, Nickelodeon, Hasbro, or Disney light to decorate your or your child's room. And now you can pre-order the brand new Star Wars lights available in Darth Vader, Yoda, or Boba Fett. Visit 3dlightfx.com or our show notes to find out more.
I still want the Thor. I want the Thor hammer still. I'm going to say that every week until I get it.
They're really awesome. I
said this last week, will be mine.
I've got the Captain America shield in the other room. I love it. It's really cool.
Yay.
Might have to wait for one of the Star Wars ones. I'm not sure.
Well, they've got more coming, but yeah. So let's get to the fun stuff.
So what we're here for this week, offsites. So I guess we'll start with Kim. And considering that you are outside Comic-Con, this may be a tough question, but what was your favorite offsite ever?
And you guys gave me a little heads up on this, but it's tricky because there have been, I've been going, 7, 8 years. I haven't done math. But I didn't start getting into it until maybe 2012, 2011, when I think one of the first ones I remember was Felicia Day, and I think this was even before Geek and Sundry, but she had like an Xbox party in one of the Hard Rock rooms.
Yes, it was that was actually, 2010 or 2011, because that was, I remember going to that for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was kind of my first experience where it's like you get drinks and you can play games. This is the most amazing thing. So first realization that there's stuff going on after hours and outside, wandering the convention hall. But my favorite has to be Flynn's Arcade.
And I never actually, I don't even remember that being there. I was there that year, but I don't remember it at all. Like, what was it like?
And that makes me so sad. But hopefully, with Tron 3 coming out, at least being announced, we don't know when it's coming out yet. Hopefully, Disney will bring it back. I'm hoping. And I think it was there for 2 years, and it was just so amazing because it kept kind of opening into more and more that was expected. This kind of walkthrough that they created. You thought, oh, it's just Flynn's Arcade with all these cool video games that we get to play, and what do you mean the Tron game is opening up into a whole, like the first movie leading to the workshop, and what do you mean we're going to yet another kind of rave? It ended up being the End of Line Club, but we didn't know that at the time, from the movie. So it was just kind of just amazing experience. I remember heading, not knowing what to expect and clutching my friend's hand because we were just so overwhelmed by what was going on. And then there was a whole ARG involved with it that people were trying to solve as well, which those have been rarer in recent years, but I always love those gaming kind of alternate reality gaming that they're called.
Yeah.
And those are neat. So there was one involved for Flynn's.
I never got to go to Flynn's either, at least when it was at Comic-Con. I went to Disneyland.
Yes.
But
where you're like, why isn't this opening?
But I do remember everyone going to it and talking about it and posting pictures about it, and it just seems so immersive. Mm-hmm. And they just went all out for that.
So that's definitely my highlight over the past few years.
What about you, Carrie?
I mean, I think we all know what I'm going to say. I think we all know what I'm going to say. Nerd HQ. But I've been to Nerd HQ all 4 years that it's been open. And the first year, it was pretty cool because it was at, Jolton Joe's. Yeah. And there was, like, nobody there. I remember we saw Don Monahan, and it was, like, 12 of us in a room, and Elijah Wood was, like, sitting behind us. It was crazy cool because no one knew about it. And then, obviously, it's kind of grown into this thing where I think they said in 2013 they had, like, over 30,000 people come, which is insane to me. But I mostly like Comic-Con for the panels. So for me, like, to be able to pay $20 to have a guaranteed seat, I don't have to line up, like, can't beat that in my world. Can't beat that.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite. And I really just like the atmosphere over there. I like what they're trying to do. So fingers crossed that we hear something about it soon. I really like the MTV's Party in the Park. And you've been, haven't you, Kim? I ran into you there last year, so I know you have.
Yeah, I didn't go the first year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember someone handed me a light stick from it that I still have, because it was later that night was the Nerd HQ party, which are so much fun, and hopefully we get to do that again this year. But last year was because it was the Fandom Awards, which we're getting again this year, so that look, something to look forward to, that happening again.
Yeah. It's just a fun event. I like it because it's cool to, like, have that many people wandering around Petco. It's cool that they feed you. It's cool that there's beer, and they try to entertain you. Like, even 2 years ago when we didn't have the Fandom Awards, they had, like, bands playing and rides and things to do.
Little carnival that they set up.
Yeah, that's basically exactly what it is it just feels like a little mini carnival across the street from Comic-Con. So I really like that one. I want to try to do that again this year. What about you, James? What's your favorite?
I actually have not gone to a ton of offsites over the years. First, because working with California Browncoats meant I was either doing something with them later into the night or just too tired to do anything else. And then recently, same thing. Just if you get up super early to go get in line, you really don't want to do anything at 9 o'clock at night because you know you're going to be getting up early again the next day. But I'm probably going to have to say that probably Nerd HQ as well of the things I've done, and specifically, like I said, the Orphan Black panel.
They're always so good.
Yeah, and I think it's just because it was such a good panel, and if I had been able to get into the Comic-Con panel and it was a similar experience, which I have not heard, but it probably was, I probably would have said that was my favorite moment if I had missed the Nerd HQ one. But Nerd HQ wins by default of having the panel I was able to get into.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other. I've gone to Woodstock a couple times. I've been to some of the parties over the years. And I'm trying to think of anything else I've done. Actually run some offsites like the Can't Stop the Serenity screenings, which were really great. It's just it's really difficult to think of which one would be best, so I'm just going to have to go with the one that I have the best time at. So there you go.
Well, hey, we know I'm a fan, so.
So we have a question from Denzel Esslinger. Have any of you gone to Funko Friday? I really want to go to it. Missed out last year in their first year. I don't think any of us have gone. Have we?
None of us have gone. However, I had a ticket last year.
What?
And, yeah, I actually fully planned on going, and then at the very last minute, I decided I'm here. If I don't line up overnight to at least try to get the Avengers autographs, I'm going to regret it, and that didn't
Right.
happen. So I missed out on Funko Friday.
That's the usual Comic-Con decision.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't regret it, because had it worked out, it would have been phenomenal. But I really want to try to go to Funko Friday this year. For those who haven't been, it's basically where Funko brings all the fans together. They give out stuff. Everybody gets a box of a little bit of swag. They give out really rare prototypes and all different kinds of things. They feed you. It's normally a taco bar. I've heard this year, though, that they're moving to a new location. I don't know where they're moving to, but rumor has it they want to try to fit in about 1,000 people instead of 700, which is what they've been doing. Yeah. It will sell out. It does every year. We haven't gotten a ticket announcement yet, but I would expect us to get one here within the next 2 weeks, because this is around the time last year when it was announced. Tickets last year were $70, so I would assume somewhere in that price range. And that's what I know about Funko Friday.
All right. Well, for those of you who are Funko fans, yeah, it sounds like it's the place to be on Friday night.
And hopefully I'll be there. So.
Can report back next year or later this year.
Exactly. You should also you should check out the Nerd Foo guys. They go every year. I'm pretty sure they did a write-up on it last year. So if you're wondering more what it's like from someone who's actually been to the event, you should go check out their site and go find that.
All right. So now on to that subject, sort of. What are we hoping is going to be at the offsites this year, whether it be a returning or something new that you'd like to see happen? Let's start with you, Carrie.
I mean,
I know what it's going to be.
I know. I'm like, really? We're starting with me? I think, again, we all know.
Come on! Get it out of the way. Let's move on.
I really hope Nerd HQ is back. I mean, I hope other things are back. Like, I'm excited to see what Nerdist does now that they've got that huge space, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I hope there's some cool interactive things like that Godzilla offsite a couple years ago. I hope there's more things like that. Like, I'd like to see the return of some of the bigger, more immersive offsites. But that's what I'm really hoping for, let's be honest, is Nerd HQ.
And the problem is, too, that there used to be a lot of empty buildings in downtown, and they're all getting full and being rented out. So we're running out of space for things like Flynn's is now Moonshine Flats, so they can't use it as an empty warehouse anymore. And then the Godzilla site is now becoming a huge, tall-sized skyscraper. But I always think of it, I'm like, that's the Godzilla building. It's always going to be the Godzilla building to me.
As it should.
So yes. So that's the problem there.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the movie studios, but I've kind of felt like some of the last couple of offsites have been a little bit slapped together. Like, I kind of felt that way about Hunger Games last year, when it was basically just like, here's the trailer. You can come to our offsite and watch the trailer and not do much else. You know? And then I think didn't Marvel actually do something like that last year too? I didn't even go to that one, but I think they did.
It was probably so good that it stayed in my memory, which it did not. But I know that they did a couple years ago. They did the Agent. Was it the Agent 47 or something like that?
Yeah, that was cool. But last year I think they had like you could go to some place and like they had partnered up with a cell phone company and you could watch the trailer. It was like almost the exact same thing as what Hunger Games was doing. So I'd like to see less of that.
Well, hopefully companies or shows that are returning that have in the past had really big immersive offsites like Heroes are coming back and do something similar.
Yeah.
I mean, even didn't Ender's Game a few years ago have a nice-sized offsite as well?
Yeah, they did.
So some companies do still do it. It's just sometimes, I mean, it just depends on whether it's something you're keyed in on or even paying attention to, beyond knowing that it's there, going to look and see what it is. There was lots of domes last year. That's what I remember.
Yes, all the domes and what were those 3D glasses things called?
The
Oculus.
Oculus Rift.
Right.
Yes, those two things were everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you looking forward to, Kim?
That actually reminded me. Like, I hope we do get some more of those Oculus experiences, because I was able to do the Game of Thrones one, and I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's just, you know, glasses on your head, but but it's kind of neat. And we didn't really have that. I haven't seen that anywhere else. WonderCon didn't have it. Star Wars Celebration didn't have anything like that. So as long as you don't mind waiting in line for some of those, it might be fun to have again.
And I guess, truthfully, that's kind of what those big immersive studio offsites have kind of gone to, is that 3D experience. Like Sleepy Hollow had one last year. X-Men had one inside the convention last year with the Oculus Rift. So.
Well, it's easy to set up. It may be a little expensive, but they don't need as much room to do it.
Yeah.
And you still get more of the immersive experience than, you know, looking at one wall of stuff or a trailer on an iPad or something. So I get it, and I'm sure we'll see more of them this year.
Yeah.
So
I am curious to see what, since you mentioned it, Kim, what Game of Thrones does this year, because the exhibit that they've had over here the last 2 years is now over in Europe. So I don't think they'll be bringing that back. But they did something else at South by Southwest, like they had a whole different kind of off-site experience. So hopefully we'll be getting something completely new this year at Comic-Con.
That'd be fun. That'd be neat. Because the other one that they had there is only available to professionals up at the Wired Cafe, which was, you know, just the beer tasting for the Omega and Game of Thrones beers, but not everyone could get to that. Hopefully maybe they'll do a reader day again like they did a couple years back. That would be really neat.
Fingers crossed. The Wired Cafe is pretty cool. I got to go there for the first time this last year. I liked it.
I didn't.
I'm sorry.
I got turned away at the door. We're too full. Like, all right.
All right. Well, James, what are you hoping is there?
What am I hoping for? I am hoping for something I can get into that's not too full. There you go. Actually, I don't really, since I have not gone to very many, almost anything that is somewhat cool, I think will be something that I would want to see.
Well, you like everything, so.
I like a lot of things. I just prefer something that will be fun to do or interesting to see without having to wait overnight in line. So that's I have pretty low threshold for demands, but I'd like to see something for Heroes. If they are definitely going to be doing something, I'd like Marvel to do something a little bit more, considering that Phase 3 is starting.
Yeah.
See if they bring anything for an offsite, but since the rumor is that Marvel Studios won't be there, then, you know.
I mean, yeah, I don't think Marvel Studios is going to be there, but they'll still have the TV shows, and I feel like they could do something for those, you know?
Especially considering they have all the Netflix shows and the, you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the spin-off that's being planned.
Yeah.
And Agent Carter.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll know in about 3 weeks at Upfronts.
But I think I just want to see, like you said, something that's a little bit more immersive, something that's not just walk up and stare at something for a few minutes and then move on.
Yeah.
And then, you know, hopefully actually have the time to go see it. One of the things I would like to see more of, if possible, considering the environment that they're in at Comic-Con, is for them to switch the hours, because I know a lot of the things that they do run during the hours of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I'd like them to see either extending them or starting them a little later.
Yeah.
So they run from like 11 to 9 instead of, you know, 10 to 7. So that people coming out can go. That's one that I would hope that they would do. I mean, and the parties don't need to start at 7 or 8 o'clock. The parties can start at 9 or 10. They always don't. They don't really get going until later anyway.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things I like to see. Have the stuff for the people in the convention to go actually have something to go do outside when they leave, while the people who don't have a ticket for that day can still make it without having to rush around too much and get it done. They can get it done, go do something in the morning, breakfast, wake up late because they don't have a ticket that day, the one day they get to sleep in, and then head out and see your offsites for the day.
I agree completely, because, obviously, as we always say, Comic-Con is always about tough choices, but I think probably one of the biggest comments we always get about offsites is just, there's not enough time to do this. Yeah. And I think, like you said, if they just switch the hours just a little bit, like, it would make, one, a lot more sense, and two, it would make it a lot easier on most attendees.
Yeah.
We've got a reader question. Sean Lekins asks, what do you think of Walker Stalker Fan Fest? They often have other celebrities outside of the horror genre appear, and I believe they have panels as well. Not sure if I want to go, but a lot of celebs will be in town because of SDCC. Who wants to take this? Me? Okay.
I can take it. Well, that ties into, do you want me to just talk about Petco in general and what's going to be?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Well, so we do have, Walker Stalker Fan Fest has announced quite a few guests. A lot of the Walking Dead former cast are being there, and some big characters that you'll recognize. And then they also have a couple people from Night of the Living Dead, which is kind of neat, as I don't know, in my mind that's the original zombie story. So they will be having a stage. I'm kind of imagining like a similar Nerd HQ setup with seats of, Petco, the stadium seats, and then a stage where they will be having panels, and that's what, Friday and Saturday?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, an offshoot of what's been there for several years is the Walking Dead Escape, which I believe they're also kind of in charge of or working with this year.
They took it over.
Yeah, so they've announced that that's going to be shorter but more immersive, so they're probably bringing in, I think it's supposed to look like maybe no spoilers, but more immersive in the show to make it look a little more like you're in the TV series while dealing with walkers and runners. So those tickets are on sale, as is Walker Stalker Fan Fest.
So yeah, it sounds like they're going to basically be running a mini offsite convention during the day and the obstacle course at night.
Yep.
And concerts as well.
Yeah, and they'll have vendors and all kinds of things. And again, the biggest thing that I've seen people say about this is just, they wish it wasn't during the hours of Comic-Con. But here's the thing, like, if you were at Comic-Con because you love The Walking Dead, like, this might be right up your alley.
And typically The Walking Dead is on Friday, and if you don't have a Saturday ticket, since that one sold out first, here's your option to go on Saturday and actually have something to do that's right up your alley.
Yep. And ticket prices aren't bad. They're $30 a day. That's not bad at all.
Right. And that's a general admission to the entire Walker Stalker Fest for that day, correct?
Yeah.
So that's, a little bit more than one panel at Nerd HQ, so you might, obviously you're not going to get safe seats or anything like that, and it may be a little crowded, but it's a good deal for what's likely going to be there, and if you're the fan of, zombies and what they bring, then it's obviously going to be something that's right up your alley. Yeah.
And I would wager a guess, because you said Walking Dead is Friday, right?
Yeah, usually it's Friday.
Usually it's Friday. If I was into The Walking Dead, which I'm not, but if I was, I would be buying a Saturday day badge, because I would assume that several of those actors will probably be over there on Saturday, and the way that Walker Stalker works is they also do like photo ops and autographs and that kind of thing, so this might actually be a much easier way to get a photo or an autograph with those actors if that's what you're really into. So
right. There you go.
That's Walker Stalker Fan Fest.
And Michael Ricker's going to be there, so maybe we'll get a Guardians panel. Guardians 2. So yeah, they've got a lot of good. They've got a lot of good Walking Dead cast announced. So with still more announcements to come. So
Yeah.
That's
So it looks like it's going to be pretty full.
Yeah. Yeah. I know they tweeted that they've already sold like hundreds of tickets, and I think this definitely will sell out. So if you're thinking about going, I'd probably go ahead and get my ticket.
Yeah. So grab it when you can. That's the thing is as we get closer, more and more people will be looking for things to do.
Yep.
And there you go. Stuff will sell out.
Yep.
Okay. So speaking of regretting if it sells out, what offsite do you regret not going to? I guess I will start this one, even though I really don't have one right now. I have a general regret that I haven't been able to make it to more of them for the last few years. Like I said, I'd like to be able to go out and do them. I'd like to just have that experience more than what I do now, which has only been a few things at night. But we'll see how it goes, and hopefully I'll be able to go to a few this year, and hopefully there are ones that are hitting the fandoms I'm more interested in. I'd like to see something from Star Wars, Marvel, something from Disney. I don't really care. Those are the big things. Maybe something. What TV shows? Doctor Who, Orphan Black. I don't know. Stuff like that. I'd like to see something. But
I heard the Orphan Black offsite last year was fun.
Yeah, I'd like to go to something that, that's my regret, is I haven't been able to go to as many things. So hopefully I'll be able to go this year.
There's just too much going on at Comic-Con to ever be able to do it all.
Too many panels I want to see. I mean, I'm there to go to Comic-Con, and you has to be something pretty big to get me away from Comic-Con itself to go. So, all right, step up your game, people.
Right.
Cater to me.
It's all about James. All of it.
All right. Who's next? Who wants to go?
I'll go. I mean, I pretty much already said it earlier, but I don't regret lining up, but I do regret not being able to go to the Funko Friday last year. Just because exclusives aren't really my thing, even though I write 98% of the exclusive posts on our site. But I actually do like Funkos. So, and it's just kind of cool getting to hang out with people that you don't necessarily understand their world.
Which you got to do anyway when you were in line for the Avengers.
Actually.
So that part worked out.
I was hanging out with all these people who were there for Hasbro and Bandai and all this stuff, and I was just yeah, okay. That's nice. But I think it'd be fun just to watch people go nuts over that kind of stuff. And again, I really actually am into Funkos. I've got 40 now sitting in the other room, which is a little worrying. But yeah, I know. I see you shaking your head, James. Don't start buying them. Don't do it.
I've got the 3 and I'm done. I might buy more, but they're not the thing I'm buying.
Wow.
So yeah, I bought 3 and I've stopped. Pretty good, huh?
That's very good. That is definitely not what I have done.
And technically, I haven't bought any because they were all gifts.
You stick to that story.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I regret not doing, and I'm hoping to be able to go this year. What about you, Kim?
For regrets, I can't think of any offhand, because I'd probably block them out if it was something I was really sad about. But kind of the thing is, I like you said, I've missed events because I was off doing something else that was probably just as cool. So it's just, Comic-Con and those hard decisions that you have to make. So I know last year I didn't do the Sleepy Hollow tunnel barn. So that was one thing that I was oh darn. But there was so much else to do that it was okay.
There is one thing that I did want to mention. I didn't get to do the Gotham zip line last year, and I really wanted to.
It looked neat.
So that's one.
it's like things that you don't have time to wait in line for. At least, like the zip line, I made sure I walked by it so I could at least see it in firsthand and take a picture of someone doing it, and then moved on.
Yeah. You can watch someone else have the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Oh well. So.
I just, before we wrap this up, I just have one more quick question for you guys. So, I feel like San Diego Comic-Con is possibly the only convention that has, like, offsites of this scale.
Mm-hmm.
And what impact do you think that has on the overall convention experience?
Well, I think we've probably basically said it, is you have more choices. You have harder choices, and it's mostly a good thing because it gives you things that you can do if you don't get a ticket for a certain day, if something that you wanted to see, like in the case of Nerd HQ, they're having a panel for one that's at Comic-Con that's on a day where you wanted to see something else more, but you wanted to see this as well, and they just happen to have a Nerd HQ panel the next day that you can make it to. It has expanded your available choices, but that means it has also made your available choices be that much harder. So it's like a two-edged sword. And you're right, with Comic-Con itself is the thing that allows all of this to happen.
Yep.
So, every time, that you are like, I'm going just for the offsites, it's like, well, those offsites would all disappear if Comic-Con wasn't there.
But I feel like, truthfully, I think if Comic-Con ever did, God forbid, decide to move to another city, I don't think that it would be the same kind of experience, just because I don't think any other city has the kind of perfect setup that downtown San Diego does, to where you can have what David Glanzer always refers to as like the Comic-Con campus feel, I mean, we basically get like all of downtown to ourselves to have like a giant nerd playground, and I think if you go anywhere else, it just wouldn't be able to do that.
No, I don't. I mean, there may be somewhere in America the perfect setup for that in a downtown convention area situation, but with the same weather and all of it in one place, it's like, yeah, there's not little things, but there's big things like not enough hotel rooms. But just everything that's just like, it's all the little thin puzzle pieces fit, and you just wish the puzzle was a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
That's about the only problem that we're having. But otherwise, it's the Comic-Con's the draw. All these things attach onto it, and then you have this awesome week in San Diego.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for offsites.
Yeah.
Unless there's
anything else
you
to
guys
add,
want to talk
Kim?
about.
Nothing else.
Nothing else?
There's lots to add, but nothing today.
So, real quickly, we just wanted to mention some of the offsites, the kinds of offsites that are out there, that, in case we haven't gone over them. But like we mentioned, Nerd HQ, Walker Stalker Fest have panels. There's GamerCon and a few other. I think there might even be a few other little conventions where you can go, and they're specifically themed to a certain thing. There are art shows that happen. I think there was at least 2 or 3 last year.
Mm-hmm.
There are live shows, whether it be comedy, music, variety. There's Woodstock, Nerdist does a live show, comedy, and then also a live taping of his podcast. Lots of comedians coming to town for this. Conan, Doug Benson, I think, what's his name? Joel McHale has come in before, Patton Oswalt. I mean, all these guys come in and do these comedy shows, so you always have something to do in the evening offsites for a live show.
Yeah.
In fact, the one we've known about the longest is coming up, which is Conan. I know that Denzel on here mentioned again on the Q&A that he's keeping his... Oh, no, it was Jesse mentioned that looking for tickets for Conan, because he's going to be taping his show live from, was it the Spreckles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
during Comic-Con, and so he couldn't do that either if it wasn't for Comic-Con and have all those guests handy waiting to be on the show every night.
Yep.
So there's just so much to see and do on the offsites and luckily we have Kim who just tries to get every single bit of it out there, and we have Kim and Lisa and everyone fills in the calendar on the website so that you can just go in and look and see all the different offsites that are happening and pick and choose links everywhere. So anything you want to do, we basically try and catch every single thing that's happening somewhere in San Diego that is themed towards Comic-Con, and you can find it. You can even find the One Direction concert. So that's not quite themed, but it's on there, I think.
It is. It is.
So offsites are a part of the Comic-Con world now, and hopefully there's something out there for you, either on a day you don't have a ticket or at night when you have some free time. All right. So next we're going to move on to the news. And Kim, you want to cover things we've already covered?
I mean, we actually really didn't talk about this, though.
So one of the major news announcements that we broke, the full article's on the website if you want more details, but that Nerdist is going to be moving to essentially take over the area that Nerd Machine held last year. So that means Nerd HQ will be moving somewhere is what that means. But Nerdist and we're kind of thinking that maybe Geek and Sundry will also be there. Not sure. We haven't really heard if they're back at Jolt and Joe's or if they might be moving along with Nerdist because they've kind of joined forces. Like at WonderCon, they had a booth together. So
yeah, and at South by Southwest, their offsite was together as well.
Was joint. So looking forward to what might be in store with that large area that Nerdist will have. They just had, panels and talks and paintball last year, so I think, probably can expect a lot more from them and Geek and Sundry most likely this year in that space. And then hopefully we'll hear what's up with Nerd HQ pretty soon, get official word.
Hope so.
It'd be very exciting. Yeah. And then, like we talked about, the Walker Stalker Fan Fest is in the area, the left field concourse, and probably a section over there for their stage is what I'm thinking, or maybe in the concourse itself, maybe part of where you can see the Walking Dead escape happening. That'll be neat to see. I've never been able. One of my regrets is I've never done the Walking Dead escape, and I would really like to do it this year because we don't know how long it's going to be going on. So at least another chance for me to give that a try. I think it would be really fun.
Well, hopefully you'll get to do it this year.
Yay! I hope so.
Well, we had another really big thing happen today. Like I said last week on the podcast, we knew NECA was going to start talking about their exclusives because we knew we were going to get to reveal one this week. And pretty excited. But today we got to announce that NECA is bringing a Terminator 2 endoskeleton, and it glows in the dark. But it looks really cool. It's based on like the 1990s Kenner figure, and it's got 25 points of articulation. It just looks really cool, and it's retro. It's awesome. They also, late last week, they announced another exclusive, which is the Ambush Predator, and it glows in the dark as well. So far there's kind of a theme with NECA's exclusives. But there's no word yet on pricing or availability for both of those, but hopefully we'll have that information soon. And NECA's also been talking about some more of their exclusives. Like we already know they'll have some little Pacific Rim figures that they showed off at Toy Fair, and I think they're going to have some Friday the 13th stuff because they always have that. So hopefully we'll be getting some more NECA news soon. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Hunger Games. So the director, Francis Lawrence, gave an interview with Collider, last week, and Collider was talking to him about whether or not he would be at Comic-Con, and his answer was that, you should ask Lionsgate, but I think we are. And then they kept pressing, and then he said, I just don't know if I'm officially allowed to say anything about it, which pretty much means there is something to say. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what that means. The question, though, is really whether or not they'll have a panel or an offsite again, which last year Lionsgate didn't have a Hall H panel, which I am still really confused about, solely because of Insurgent, because they had the two biggest stars there doing autographs. So why not just throw them on the Hall H stage,
Right? Right?
Yeah, still confusing.
They're there.
Exactly. But hopefully this year we'll get a final farewell to the Hunger Games, which we only ever got one panel, right? Didn't they only ever come in 2013?
I know there was one for sure. I don't remember if there was more than one, but I'm pretty sure there was just the one.
I think it was just the one in 2013. So it'd be really nice if fans could get like one final chance to say goodbye to the Hunger Games. And truthfully, I think probably one of the biggest reasons that Lionsgate didn't have a panel last year is probably just because Jennifer Lawrence's schedule couldn't make it happen, because she's a fairly busy person.
So, as far as whether there is going to be a panel, I'm going to lean towards yes.
I am too.
Because of the last thing he said, which the question was, do you think the cast and the answer was, you know what? I have not seen a list. In other words, there's going to be a list of who's coming, but we don't know who yet. So that leads me to believe that there may be a panel. At least I'm leaning, since it looks like they're going to be there, I'm leaning towards yes, there's going to be a panel.
I think there will be too, but obviously things can always change. I know it seems like we're not that far away from Comic-Con, but especially in the world of movie studios, things can change pretty last minute. So there's always the possibility that they won't be able to pull it off together. But hopefully they will. Hopefully we'll be able to get one more panel for the Hunger Games.
Yeah, and it's what the studios do. They'll ask for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and they actually, and that's the reason. Some of the time, that's the reason why you see a TBA on the schedule, is because they really don't know until last minute who they're bringing. And it's how it works out with a director approving a cut or the studio approving a cut on a sizzle reel that they're going to show us.
Yep.
If footage is ready, if there's any cast that can show up or not. All of those things have a factor in whether they bring it, and some of that stuff doesn't even happen until days or weeks before.
Yeah, agreed. I think we can pretty much guarantee one thing, though. I think the Hunger Games trailer will drop during Comic-Con because it has the last 3 years. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think no matter what happens, panel or offsite, I think we'll be doing that.
It's something to look forward to, even if it's something small like a trailer, which we can watch anywhere or something, but okay.
That's not true. You could only watch it at the Hard Rock Hotel for 1 day before it went online last year.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so the next news that we had was also a podcast and interview. Sort of two different ones combined into this news, which was the first one. This is about Star Wars: Force Awakens, so it's big news. And Making Star Wars sat down with Joe Ninivaggi from Hasbro, talking about exclusives, and they're saying that they don't know what the exclusive will be. They're working on it, and stay tuned, it'll be out soon. So there will be a Star Wars exclusive from Hasbro, which don't they basically do one every year?
Yeah, it's usually the black series, right?
Right, a variation of the black series that you can get elsewhere later, but it usually has something different about it.
Right.
So it looks like we're going to get something, and Galaxy of Toys podcast also interviewed Joe and Jeff Labovitz, also with Hasbro, during Star Wars Celebration, and they did a Q&A, but not in the Q&A, but in the podcast they were talking about what they asked, which was where do we need to go to see the Force Awakens toys. And the initial hint they said was that it was going to be at New York Comic Con, but now the rumor is that they're going to release the toys in September, and New York Comic Con is in October, so you don't really want to preview toys after they come out. So it looks like San Diego is where they're going to preview the toys. So at the Hasbro booth, most likely, it's looking like they're going to premiere the Star Wars Force Awakens toys. That's pretty big news.
Yeah, that's actually really big news.
Because toys sometimes reveal a little bit more about movies than some people would like.
I'd say that's pretty accurate, yeah.
So, but yeah, that's pretty big. So those were the big news items for this week. And there's a lot of news coming, and all of the news bits and all of that are always either an article on the website, which you'll see us tweet about that, or you can check out the UTT on the website, the Under the Tents, or subscribe to our.
You can newsletter. Yep.
Newsletter. Which the next one went out. The second one went out today.
Yeah, it did. They go out every Tuesday, and it's basically, we know there's a lot of Comic-Con news, especially the closer we get, and so we basically just round it all up for you, and if something looks interesting, you can click through. If not, no worries. So,
yep.
I didn't do a nice little digest.
I'm not subscribed to that. I need to go subscribe. I'm not receiving those.
That's right, Kim. You don't know what's going on without that.
No idea. Seriously, I'm going right now to subscribe.
I love it. Well, how can you subscribe by either going to our site, and there's an option to subscribe on the side, or we'll also put a note in the show notes for how you can subscribe to the mailing list. So,
found it.
So, one of the offsites we actually didn't talk about yet.
I know.
Is
our party.
Yay!
Enchantment under the SDCC 2015, and we are so close to goal now. It's actually a little ridiculous. But we are currently at 96% to goal.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And we're not quite there yet, though, so we've still got 15 days to make that final 4%. But for those who don't know, Enchantment under the SDCC is our annual reader party. And we're doing it bigger and better than ever this year. We'll be doing it at Mission Brewery, which you've been to Mission Brewery, right?
And it's such a neat location. It's just, maybe a 5 to 10 minute walk, depending on how fast you walk, from the convention center, just across the parking lot. And it's a neat space. It's an old factory, so hopefully lots of room for hanging out and open bar.
That's
for
right.
Those that are interested. That's pretty cool.
And they've got good beer. So
they've got great beer. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it's open bar. We've sold out of several of our ticket packages, but the one that's left is Great Scott. We've got 16 tickets left as of the time that we are recording this. And what that gets you is you actually get into the party a full hour earlier than anybody else. So you'll get in starting at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. And the cool thing about that is, one, obviously you get to go secure a table, so you can make sure you and your friends have somewhere to sit, which is always a plus. And then the other thing is we'll be doing raffle giveaways every probably 30 minutes or so. And we'll be doing a couple in that first hour, and so obviously only the people with the Great Scott tickets will be eligible for those. And then you also get 2 shirts. One is the hashtag shirt, which it's updated for 2015, but it's just a variation of the shirt that we've had the last couple years that everybody always seems to love, and it's got all the different hashtags for the Comic-Con rooms, and even space for you to write your own hashtag. And then we've also got an exclusive Enchantment under the SDCC party t-shirt that, truthfully, this is my favorite of the 2 t-shirts. It's really cool. You'll also get a little water bottle and 10 raffle tickets for the giveaways, like I said, which we've got a couple of things that we've announced we're giving away. Do you want to talk about those, James?
Sure. So the one that we already had announced is we're giving away some Walker Stalker Fest and Walking Dead Escape tickets. You can see all the details on the website, but basically I think we're giving away 2 sets of each. So obviously we'll be giving those away there. But the thing that we've had the last couple of years, and it's a big deal, is the Hasbro Fast Pass / Gold Ticket, which is your pass to walk right up to the booth when you want and get your exclusives. No waiting in line, which is pretty awesome for Hasbro to be able to do that because of all the awesome exclusives they always have. And we will be giving that away at the party.
Yes, we will. And that's huge, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. So we're really excited about that. So thank you so much to the wonderful people at Hasbro and Walker Stalker. And we'll be announcing a whole lot more, too. Like, those definitely won't be the only giveaways. There'll be a ton. Everybody who attends also gets a little goodie bag, which will have some cool stuff in it. Yeah. So you can
We're just going to try and make it as awesome as we can. Anything that comes along that, something is happening, if Nerd HQ happens and they want to give us some passes to a panel, or if Nerdist does something that has something that anyone who wants to give us anything, we're just going to give away at the party as well. So I'm putting that out there.
That's right.
But yeah, and the 16 tickets left that are of the Great Scots. That's not like we have 16 of those left, and there's more room.
No.
We have a size limit of how many bodies can fit in that place, and we cannot fit more people in. So once those 16 sell, we can't sell anymore because we will have a max number of people, or the fire marshal will shut things down.
Yeah.
We never want the fire marshal to come and shut things down.
No. And, I mean, we're asking you guys to pay for a ticket, so we're not going to make you stand on the street to get in. So he's right. Once these 16 tickets are gone, that's it. The party is closed, locked down. So if you want to attend, get it now. And if you can't attend, there's other ways that you can help us. Every single dollar is greatly appreciated. And we're also selling those hashtag t-shirts that I talked about before, which they're really cool. You can, again, write in your own hashtag, which is really cool. Those are $30, which also includes shipping. All right. I see a question from Denzel, actually, about party, so I'm going to answer this real quick. Denzel asks, are there female cut shirts and 3XL for guys? They're not female cut shirts. They're all just modern. I mean, your generic t-shirt kind of thing. Normal. But we do have 3XL. The only thing is, anything over an extra large, just add $5 to your order. And we'll be sending out a survey once we're at 100% to everybody to get your exact t-shirt size. But we have no problem at all getting 3XL. So.
And I think it's important to note that every dollar we raise from this is going right into the party.
Yes.
So the more that we get, the more things we can offer or bring. There's a few things in the hopper that we would love to get, but we just need to make sure we sell out the Indiegogo. So
that's right. We need to make sure we can actually pay for the venue. Kind of important.
So hopefully on next week's podcast we will be announcing a stretch goal or two.
I hope so. We hope so. So we'd love to hang out with you guys. Seriously, we're trying really hard to make this the best party that we can. We really are.
Awesome Comic-Con kickoff is always our goal.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and go digging into the reserves of old Comic-Con stuffs to throw in goodie bags. So
we've got a couple of people actually, I think, planning on doing that. So some of the goodie bags might have some little extras.
And I've spent some time going around looking for stuff at Comic-Con over the years, so cross fingers I can actually find some of it.
No promises.
All in boxes somewhere.
Nice.
All right, so that's the party. Check it out on the website or the show notes. Really, the only other news bit that was out was the 12th wave of guests was announced, which includes Stan Lee. So he's going to be he's going to have a spotlight panel at Comic-Con. It looks like this year. And did they announce that there's only one more wave?
Yes, I really thought this last one was going to be the final one because they said they were announcing every Monday through April, which would have been yesterday. But looks like we get one more final round next Monday. So, woo!
Cool deal. And we already talked about the Under the Tents and the mailing list. So I think that that wraps up the news for the for the day.
So I think there's just one more thing to do.
What?
What? Just like last week, we will be giving away a Funko Pop. And because Avengers Age of Ultron is coming out here in the U.S. on Friday, May 1st, no, they're not paying us to say this. On Friday, May 1st, we're giving away one of the, I think these are from Thor, right? Yeah, these are the second set from the second Thor movie, but this is Loki and the gold helmet. So we'll be giving away one of these. And the way that you can win is you can tweet us at SD_comic_con. What do you want them to tweet us, James?
I think that we will have to ask them to tweet us Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. Okay. All right. I'm cool with that. So the first person who tweets us Pinocchio, you have won yourself a Loki. So
Sweet.
There's always a lag between when we do this live and when you guys actually watch it. So we're just going to hang out here for a second. And refresh Twitter. Good times.
And then a minute later, then everybody hears it.
Yep.
And then a minute later, they'll be hearing us talk about the fact that they heard it.
It's a never-ending loop.
We're never going to end now.
That's right.
All right. Well, let me read this while we're waiting. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information about our sponsor, 3D Light Effects, and their brand new line of Star Wars cordless 3D deco lights. And check those out. As Carrie mentioned, she has one, a Captain America one, and they're awesome. And
they are awesome.
So.
All right. We have a winner.
Yay! Look at that timing. Look at that.
All right, Estelle, which is scribblescribe_ on Twitter. You have won yourself a Loki, so I will be sending you a direct message here as soon as this is over to get your address, and we'll get this in the mail for you. So.
Sweet.
Woo.
That's awesome.
That's what you get for listening live. For those of you listening to the podcast later, sorry. There's other things you can win, though. You can go on our site right now, and we've got a contest to win 2 passes to Walker Stalker Fan Fest for both days. So there are other things you can win.
There you go. And come to our party. You can win all the stuff we're giving away there.
Exactly.
All right. So that wraps up mostly the podcast for this week. But first, Kim, where can our listeners find more of your work on the internet?
I am on Twitter at OutsideComicCon. Look, it says right under my name. And I'm also at OutsideComicCon.com with the small events list, and on Facebook with the Facebook event. So you can any place you like.
Cool.
You're just everywhere.
Taking over the outside Comic-Con world.
That's right. All
what
right.
do they say? The online orator of offsites?
I love it.
I love it too. You need to steal that, Kim.
Carrie,
going
where
now
can we
to
find
change
you
my thing.
online?
You can find me over on Twitter at Carrie Dixon. You can also find me over on the blog Twitter, manning that, at SD_comic_con. And you can also find us on the website at sdccblog.com.
Cool.
So,
All right. And I am on Twitter and pretty much everywhere as Dan Regal. You can check out our website, geekshotphoto.com. That's the one that my wife and I are on. And all of our social media links are there, so you can check out her photos, my photos, and we do a weekly series on SDCC blog, the Geek Shot exclusive photo series that comes out on whenever we remember on Thursdays. So check that out. And all right, so we are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We are also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at sd_comic_con. All right. Thanks for listening, and until next week, definitely this week, everybody
Go
shawarma! What?
I said go see Avengers. Because that felt more accurate. All right.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.